Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the GBSN Cross-Border Coffee Break on the LBS Management Scholars Academy Initiative. So I'm Nicole. I'm the Communications Officer at the Global Business School Network. And today we are joined with Dr. Tayo Otubanjo. He is the Senior Lecturer of Marketing Management at Lagos Business School in Nigeria. So here is the agenda for today's webinar. I'm just going to do a brief slide about GBSN for those of you who don't know about us. And then Dr. Tayo will go into objectives and accomplishments of the MSA recruitment process, explain kind of the program structure and the governance structure. And then he'll go into PhD destinations where these individuals are now. And then post-MSA, so how LBS maintains relationships with former MSA individuals. And then at the end, we'll do a Q&A session, depending on timing, 5 to 10 minutes. So I just want to briefly show you how to submit a question throughout the webinar. You can do this at any time throughout the presentation without disrupting the presenter. To do this, you'll see on your toolbar the Q&A button. Here, I circled it in red. If you click on this, a box like on the right here will pop up where you can type your question in right here. And then if you want to send it anonymously, that's fine. You just make sure the box is clicked and then click send. All of the questions will be put into a queue in which Dr. Tayo and myself will be able to access at the end of the webinar, and we'll answer as many questions live as we can, depending on timing. So about GBSN, the Global Business School Network, we are a network of 75 member schools represented in 40 countries who all work towards our mission, which is to improve access to high quality, locally relevant management education for the developing world. We do this under 3 umbrellas. One is through the design and implementation of capacity building programs across various sectors. 2 is through thought leadership and knowledge sharing, promotion of best practice, which is kind of an example like today. We do these webinars to share what our schools do well, lessons learned, challenges, so on and so forth. And then we also foster connections, partnerships, and collaborations between our members. If you want more information about our member schools or about membership, please visit our website, www.gbsn.org. So now, I will turn it over to Dr. Tayo, and he will go on with his presentation. Dr. Tayo?
Yeah. Good afternoon or good morning, all, depending on where you are. My brief is to discuss with you, is to present to you the LBS Management Scholar Academy Initiative. It's not responding.
Move your mouse around, maybe?
Yeah, mouse is not, it's coming. No, it's not responding.
Okay, I can click through the slides for you.
Okay. Good. All right. So the next slide. Good. Next slide. All right. So let me give you a bit of a background to the Management Scholar Academy Initiative. Lagos Business School started in 1992. It was incorporated in 1992 as a teaching business school. But in 2002, we got our university charter. And the implication of this was that we needed to add research into the teaching mix. So because we had become a university by 2002, it became imperative that we do research. And to support our research drive, we started to engage research assistants. So when we started to fully engage research assistants, we engaged them mostly on renewable contracts. It was a loose contract. It was a loose association with Lagos Business School. So the research assistants simply come and go. So they have no special, at that time, the research assistants had no special relationship with Lagos Business School. And at that time, research assistants will work with multiple faculty members on different subjects, regardless of their research interests. So at that time, when research assistants do 2 years, they spend, if they perform well, the research assistants contracts are simply renewed, to the extent that we found out that there were some of our research assistants at that time that had spent 4 or 5 years on renewable contracts at LBS. So the thing, however, at that time was that the moment they are done, the moment they leave LBS, they go to the industry. Some of them, join banking. Some of them go, work for investment banks and so on and so forth. But not to pursue PhD. Most of them simply leave Lagos Business School to go to the industry. Next slide. So by 2013/2014, Lagos Business School began to pay greater attention to the sourcing of faculty. Why? Because our school was gradually, faculty, quite a number of our colleagues were already getting on in age, and we felt that it was important to begin to plan how we are going to replace some of our faculty that are getting on in age, some of our faculty that are retiring. And we felt that the best thing to do in order to get good quality faculty is best for us to think of how we are going to convert our research assistants to faculty. So at that point in time, we started to think about how we are going to put up a more structured system, put our research assistants under a more structured system. Next slide, please. And as a result of that thought process, we created the Lagos Business School, or the LBS Management Scholar Academy. Now, the difference between the Lagos Business School Management Scholar Academy and the previous research assistantship program is that under the LBS MSA, research assistants are brought in to, number one, they must have the intention of becoming university professors. Number two, they must have the intention of doing PhDs. So, and then number three, when they come in, we attach them to a singular faculty over a period of 2 years. And while they are working with that faculty, they work with that faculty to ensure that they get into PhDs overseas. Next slide. So essentially, the MSA is a 2-year research assistantship program designed to, on one hand, assist faculty in their publication drive, while faculty, on the other hand, support members of this scheme in gaining admission into externally funded PhD programs in business studies or related programs at decent universities overseas. So essentially, it's a two-way, it became, our research assistantship scheme became a two-way phenomenon. Research assistants come to school, come to work for us. While they are working for us, faculty will support them in ensuring that they gain admission, fully funded admission into PhD programs at decent universities overseas. The difference between this initiative and the previous one is that there was no coordinated effort on the part of faculty to support the research assistants into gaining admission into fully funded PhD programs. Besides, the idea of research assistants coming into LBS with the intention of doing a PhD was not necessarily so, under the previous system. So in this current system, when we bring in research assistants under the Management Scholar Academy, they are expected to they're expected to get ready to get into PhD, externally funded PhD programs overseas. Next slide, please. So ultimately, the essence of the program, like I said before, is to create a channel for generating new PhD holders with possible interest of joining Lagos Business School in the future as full-time faculty, visiting faculty, or as resource persons. So essentially, when these research assistants, when they finish their program, when they finish their assistantship program at Lagos Business School, and then they get into top universities overseas, our intention, our hope is that by the time they finish their PhDs, they will return to Lagos Business School, either as full-time faculty or visiting faculty or resource persons. So let's even take a scenario in which a research assistant leaves Lagos Business School for, say for instance, University of Leeds, and he or she decides not to come back. So if in a case where he or she decides not to come to Lagos Business School to join us as faculty, we appoint them as visiting faculty. So for us, this initiative is a win-win situation. Whether if you finish, whether you join us or you do not join us, we win. Next slide. So the research assistantship program requires the research assistants to have specialist master's degrees or specialist degrees, and then we attach them to a faculty with similar research interests for a period of 2 years. Like I said before, the difference between this current research assistantship program and the previous one is that research assistants, regardless of their discipline, are simply made to work with multiple faculties across board over a period of time. But under the current dispensation, research assistants with specialist skills in certain areas of business are attached to faculty with similar business interests, similar research interests, and that's how it runs. Next slide. So I shall be giving you the structure of the presentation. The first part deals with the objectives and accomplishments of the MSA. The second part, in the second part, I'll be talking about the MSA recruitment process. The third part, under the third part, I'll be talking about the MSA program structure. And then in the fourth part of the presentation, I'll be looking at the MSA governance structure. And then in the fifth part, we'll be looking at the destinations of our MSAs, our research assistants. And then in the sixth part, we'll be looking at what we are doing to maintain relationship with our MSAs, with our research assistants, once they leave Lagos Business School for their PhD programs. Next slide. Okay, so we move to the first part, which is the objectives and achievements of the MSA. So we have three basic objectives. The first objective is to assist faculty in their publication drive. So we bring in research assistants, and then we charge them with the responsibility of helping faculty in assisting faculty in their publication drive. Publication goes as far as peer review articles, in local and international journals, the writing of business cases, the writing of technical notes, technical reports, industry reports, and so on and so forth. And then the second objective, of course, is that of the faculty. While the research assistants are helping faculty to achieve their publication objectives. Faculty, on the other hand, the faculty that each of these research assistants are attached to, faculty are then work with them, collaboratively with them to ensure that whoever is attached to you as a research assistant, they help them in gaining admission into PhD programs on full scholarship overseas. And then, of course, the third objective is to get MSA PhD holders to return to Lagos Business School either as full-time faculty or as visiting faculty. So those are the three objectives. The next slide. So there are three achievements so far. The first achievement is with regards to publications. Now, with the help of our research assistants, between 2014 and date, we have done 161 articles. Now, I must say I must say straight away that Lagos Business School, comparatively, when you compare it to, say, for instance, a business school in UK or United States, is a smaller school, because we are, I think in total, we have about 30 faculty members. So say for instance, in a Cardiff business school in UK, for instance, it's a lot bigger business school. So we are very proud of what we have achieved. Just less than, I think, a combination of full-time and part-time faculty members, about 30 of us. We are very proud of what we have done. So in between 2014 and date, we've done a total of 161 articles. And a lot of our articles appear in some of the best academic journals in the world. Journal of Management, Journal of Management Studies, Business Economic Quarterly, Psychology and Marketing, Industrial Marketing Management, some of the most prestigious academic journals in the world. And we are very, very proud of that. Next slide. Okay, so the second achievement is that with this scheme, we have also been able to publish quite extensively a lot of cases. I think I would say modestly that when you look at the ECCH, the case center rather, you will discover if you look at the publications on the case center, you might agree with me that Lagos Business School has one of the largest business cases collection of business cases in Africa. So since 2014, we've done 80 cases. We've done numerous technical notes, and we've done about 6 industry reports. Next slide. Now, we have also achieved in terms of, we have also enabled, we have also empowered and enabled and supported those that work for us, the research assistants that work for us. We have been able to get them into some of the best universities in the world. We have one of them at Cambridge. We have somebody at Sheffield, Cape Town, and so on and so forth. Next slide, please. So let me share with you the recruitment process. Please, next slide. So the recruitment process is a 3-stage process. Next slide. The first stage demands that we bring in some of the most talented talents, if I may say so. Some of the most talented talents within the country. And what we do is that during the first phase, which is what we call the one-day young talent program, what we do is to bring in some of these talented young men and young women under the age of 30, or under the age of 28. We bring them in and we interact with them. They get to know us, we get to know them, and in the process, we begin to explore, and we begin to identify some of them that are likely to be interested in working for Lagos Business School as research assistants under the Management Scholars Academy initiative. Next slide. So the requirement, the standard requirement for the for you to come in through the YTP is a first-class honors degree in any discipline, plus a distinction graded master's in any discipline, plus publications. Next one. Another standard qualification will be a first-class honors degree in any discipline, plus a distinction graded master's in any discipline with no publications. Next one. Another qualification will be second-class upper in any discipline, plus a distinction graded master's in any discipline, plus publications. Next slide. Second-class upper in any discipline, plus a distinction graded master's in any discipline with no publications. First-class honors in any discipline, plus publications. First-class honors degree in any discipline with no publications. So these sets of qualification are those that are required of people that come in for the one-day young talent program. Next slide. So once those people that were selected to attend the young talent program once they have attended the one-day program and they have indicated interest in joining Lagos Business School as research assistant, the next thing we do is to then organize a writing test. The writing test is simply a test to assess the ability of the applicants to write or to review literature. Candidates must score a minimum of 70% in the literature review exercise to qualify for interview. So once you have achieved a minimum of 70% in the writing test, then you qualify for interview. Next slide. So the interviews are usually chaired by the lead faculty in charge of the Management Scholar Academy, together, and is supported by colleagues within Lagos Business School who wish to employ research assistants. So these are the people that serve as panelists. Most of the time, in fact, all of the time, the lead faculty in charge of the MSA, is simply attends the interview in observation capacity. So the interview panelists are charged with the responsibility of deciding who they want and who they do not want. Next slide. So the next thing I'll be talking to you about, I'll be discussing, will be the MSA program structure. Now, the MSA runs for a period of 2 years. And in the first year, we will put the research assistants through series of training, a series of seminars. The first seminar will be academic paper writing seminar. During the academic paper writing seminar, we skill them up. We provide them with skills that can enable them to raise the quality of their writing ability. Then we organize a seminar also for them that deals with how they can succeed with the GMAT. And next one. And then we also have a seminar we call Developing an Effective PhD Proposal. So during the seminar, we provide them a structure of we provide them insight into what a standard PhD proposal should look like. A standard PhD proposal that addresses that identifies gaps in literature, and then on the basis of the identification of the gap comes up with a research question based on the review of literature anyway. And then we also have another seminar we call Managing the PhD Application Process. With that, we introduce them to some of the mistakes that PhD applicants make in the application process. And then we also have a seminar. We put them through a seminar we call developing an effective statement of purpose. Especially for American universities, we all know that if you don't have a very good statement of purpose, you are likely not to be given admission and scholarship. So the developing an effective statement of purpose is, in fact, that particular seminar is like a workshop whereby our research assistants work collaboratively with the lead faculty of the MSA to develop their statements of purpose. Next one. And then we also have what we call a seminar we call writing an effective academic resume. One thing we observe is that the way academic resumes are written in Nigeria is completely different from the way it is written, in Western European countries. So because of the difference, we provide this seminar to introduce them to how some of the basic things, the little things that they need to do to ensure that their academic resumes are effective. Next one. And then we also have another seminar that we call Understanding British and US Universities. We're able to do this because majority of us at Lagos Business School were trained overseas. Majority of us were either trained, at British universities or at US universities. Some of us have even lectured in some of these universities overseas. So we sort of have an idea of the nature of British and American universities. So with this, it introduces our research assistants into some of the demands of British and American universities, especially when it comes to seeking scholarship. The next one. And then we also put them through a seminar we call Statistics and Probability. Well, this is simply to enable them to be a bit more effective in terms of their quantitative analysis. The next one. And then we have another seminar we call Qualitative Methods and Analysis. This is also to introduce them to things that have to do with qualitative methods, the conditions under which qualitative methods, specific qualitative methods are used, and probably also introduce them to a bit of philosophy and epistemology. Now, our research assistants in the first year are also entitled to a library leave of 26 working days. Now, with the library leave, our research assistants are able to, study and get ready for their GMAT or GRE, and also the TOEFL or any other English proficiency test. Next one. And then, of course, they're also entitled to the normal annual leave of 26 working days. Next one. And then, of course, throughout this period, they work with faculty to develop academic papers, to write cases, and of course, we also ensure that as these junior colleagues of ours are working with us, we ensure that their names also appear in the articles that they write with us. Next slide. All right, so in the second year, they also do qualitative methods and analysis. If, for instance, we feel that there are still gaps in their skill set, we do that. Next one. And then we also have, in the second year, they continue to develop academic papers with faculty. And yes, then in the second year, by the time they get to the second year, a good number of them will have been receiving requests for doctoral interviews, doctoral application interviews. So before they start this interview process, we do what I would call things like we do some sort of mock run of some of the possible questions that the people, these universities overseas are likely to ask them. And then next one. And then of course in the second year, of course, again, they go on their annual leave, next one. And then if it is necessary, we also organize statistics and probability for them again, if we feel it is necessary. And then we hope that by the time they go through all this, they will have secured admission with full scholarship, and then they exit, and then they do their handover notes. Next slide. Okay, so let me share with you the governance structure of the Management Scholar Academy. Now, the Management Scholar Academy is governed by a steering committee composed of 4 people. And the 4 of them are, of course, faculty members of Lagos Business School. So what we do, what the steering committee does is simply what they do really is to simply meet on regular basis, at times even informally. We meet on regular basis, quarterly, and at times informally, to discuss the progress of our research assistants, to discuss the performance of our research assistants. So the lead faculty, my very self, what I do is to report to the research director, and of course, like I said, I brief other members of the steering committee on regular basis with regards to what's going on within the Management Scholar Academy. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the destinations. This is exciting. I'm going to share with you the destinations of our MSAs, those people that have worked for us for a period of 2 years. Next slide. So far, we've had successes and we've had some failures. So far, we've brought on board 16 research assistants, and 12 of these research assistants made it. They got into full PhD scholarship. They got into PhD programs in US and UK on full scholarship. 12 out of 16 of them represented 75%, and we've had 4 that were unsuccessful. Let me account a bit for the 4 that were unsuccessful. 2 of them didn't make it through the what we call the initial phase. You know, the what's it called now? The 6 months phase, the 6 months test phase. So they simply fell out of the program because they couldn't cope with the rigor of the program. And then the other 2 that didn't make it, of course, well, they didn't make it probably because of some, maybe they were not listening well enough to the faculty, to the lead faculty in charge of the program, or maybe they approached schools that were too competitive. Because the advice we always give is that they need to spread their tentacles. In the case of those 2, I think what happened was they applied to some of the most competitive, some of the best schools in the world, and they are some of the most competitive schools. So that did not give them the opportunity to sort of so they didn't spread their tentacles across the A-level schools like Harvard and the rest of them, and the B-level schools like University of Texas at Austin and the rest of them, and then the C-level schools. So all they did was to concentrate on the A-level schools alone, and that didn't help. So one of our successful candidates is in Cambridge. She's studying for a PhD in psychology. She came in with a first-class honors in distinction, and a distinction graded MA in philosophy, and a first-class honors degree also in philosophy. Next slide. We have another research assistant who's now with University of, who's in fact is joining University of Sheffield in the next few weeks. He came in with a distinction graded MSc from in organizational behavior from University of Lagos, and then of course he holds a second-class honors degree in business administration from Lagos State University. So he's on his way out of the country to begin to begin his PhD in management at the University of Sheffield. Next one. And then we have we also have one of our former MSAs, Onyege, who in fact she worked with me. I'm very proud to say that. And then she got into University of Bath for a PhD in management. She's right about now rounding up to complete the first year of her PhD. She came in with a distinction graded MSc in mass communication and a first class honors also in the same discipline. Next slide. And then we have Sheun Adegbile, who also came in. She also worked with me previously some years ago. She's at University of Leeds. She also went in on full scholarship to University of Leeds. She came in with a first class honors degree in marketing, and she's pursuing a PhD also in marketing at the University of Leeds. Next slide. And then we have Korede Adekigbe, who came in with a distinction graded MSc from University of Ibadan and a first class honors degree in economics from Ekiti State University. He recently registered for his PhD in economics at Southern Illinois University in the United States. Next slide. And then we have Raymond Onoha, who came in with a distinction graded MSc in petroleum engineering, a BSc in physics, second class upper. He's with University of Cape Town, pursuing a PhD in digital economy and society. Next slide. And then we have Awele Achi, who's also on his way. He came in with a distinction graded MSc in marketing, distinction graded MSc in marketing from the University of Lagos, and the second class offer in marketing from Delta State University. So he's about to proceed to. He's also on his way out. I'm also proud to say that he worked with me. He's on his way out and is going to Open University to pursue a PhD in strategy and marketing. Next slide. And then we have David Ehira, who came in also with a first class honors degree in information studies from the University of Ilorin. And then he's also on his way out to pursue a PhD in integrative data at University of Westminster in UK. And then one of our very first set of management scholar MSAs, Ijoma Buhari, she came in with a second class upper degree in management from the University of Nigeria, and she's currently pursuing her PhD in entrepreneurship at City University of Hong Kong. Next slide. Then we also have Olamide Shitu, who came in with a distinction graded MSc in sociology, a first class honors in the same discipline. He's also on his way out, about to begin a PhD, fully funded PhD in sustainable consumption at Swinburne University in Australia. Next slide. And then we have Obinna. Obinna, he's also one of our MSAs, ex-MSAs. He was at University of Lagos, where he achieved a distinction graded MSc in chemical engineering, first class honors also in the same discipline. He's at ESSEC Business School in France, where he's pursuing a PhD in strategic management. And then we also have Clinton Ofoedu, who is pursuing a PhD in strategic management at ESSEC Business School. He came in with a first class honors in mechanical engineering from the University of Lagos. Okay, so those are the previous ones. So these are the sets of MSAs that we have currently. We have Jim Ofatoki, who came in with a distinction graded MSc in engineering and a first class honors in the same discipline. SA came in with a distinction graded MSc from Middlesex University in London, and a BSc in development studies from Ibadan University in Nigeria. and Susan, who came with a distinction graded MS in economics and a first class honors in economics, and Kabiru, who also came in with a first class honors degree. Sorry, he came in with a PhD graded MSc and a first class honors degree in industrial relations. Next slide. And then we also have Amid Akonji, who came in with a PhD graded MSc and a first class honors degree in economics. And then Ifeanyi, who is also from University of Lagos, came in with a first class honors degree in business administration, and he's also a chartered accountant. And then we also have Chika Izebu, who came in with a BSc in applied psychology with a second class upper degree. Next slide. So let me share with you. What we are doing to maintain relationships with these people. Next slide. So what we do, there are 6 things that we are doing to maintain relationships with them. First is through social media engagement. We have what's it called now? We have WhatsApp platforms whereby the moment you finish from Lagos Business School and you get a fully funded PhD, you get into a fully funded PhD. Our former MSAs will simply invite that person into the WhatsApp group for social engagement. So we are also so with that we monitor them and we engage with them. Next one. So we also try as much as we can to attach our MSAs to research centers. We have research centers and Lagos Business School. So if, for instance, you are in the field of leadership, we have a leadership center. So if, for instance, you need to come to Nigeria to collect data for your research, we will simply attach you to that particular research center. So it's another way of creating and maintaining relationship with our MSAs. Next one. And then we also encourage our MSAs to use our ex-MSAs pursuing their PhDs. We encourage them to use Lagos Business School as the venue of their PhD data collection. With that, we are able to strengthen and maintain our relationship with them. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so we also, when they visit us at Lagos Business School, or at times we offer them special invitation to Lagos Business School to lead seminars, to lead MSA seminars. This year, last year, one of our research assistants was here to lead a seminar on how to get into PhD overseas. So we encourage them to come back to us to share with our existing research assistants on how best they can get into PhD funded programs overseas. Next one. And then, of course, we try as much as we can to visit our MSAs, overseas. So if for instance I'm visiting the UK, I try to visit some of our MSAs. If I'm attending a conference in the UK, I try to see some of our MSAs who are pursuing PhDs overseas. So with that, we're able to maintain contacts with them so that we can strengthen the relationship. And then the final one. Okay, so we also invite our MSAs to present their PhD thesis, their ongoing PhD thesis to Lagos Business School to share some of the new things that they are developing, some of the new concepts that they are coming up with in the course of their PhD. We encourage them to share with us. By so doing, we also strengthen the relationship with them. Next slide. Okay, so that brings an end to my presentation, but let me just do a summary of what we have discussed. Next slide. The first thing that we discussed was to highlight the objectives and, more importantly, the accomplishments of the MSA. The next thing, the next area of discussion was about the entry requirements for you to gain for you to come into the MSA, the entry requirements. And then the third one, of course, is the MSA program structure. The fourth area of discussion relates to the concerns the MSA governance structure. The fifth area of discussion highlights the destination where our MSAs have been going, where they are, where you will find them today. And then the final area of discussion is how we have been maintaining relationships with our ex-MSAs. So this brings an end to the presentation. Thank you very much indeed. Questions and answers.
Yes, great. So we have a few questions that we can answer. We have a few minutes. One person asked, how is the program funded?
Well, the program is funded by Lagos Business School. Like any business school that employ research assistants, it is funded by Lagos Business School. Because we recognize that research is important, research is central to what we do. In order for us to keep our AACSB accreditation, our AMBA accreditation, research is central to it. So it's, the University of Lagos Business School decided to fund it because the management board felt that this was really necessary to help faculty to get into the publication group, and not only that, but more importantly, to publish in some of the best journals in the world, and we are seeing the results.
Great. Another person asked, what are your thoughts on the future of research Africa specific by African researchers?
Sorry?
What are your thoughts on the future of research Africa specific by African researchers in terms of opportunities?
Well, I think the future is bright, and this is why I say so. The global internet connectivity has opened everything all up. What used to be seen as a dark continent is now being exposed to the world as not a dark continent. The era of internet has made it very clear to the world that you do not only find smart students or smart scholars overseas. You don't only find smart scholars in Asia, in Europe and America, but you'll also find smart scholars in Africa, here in Africa. So I think that the future is bright, the future is great. For as long as we continue to deepen internet connectivity, Africans are going to be exposed more and more to the opportunities that you find in the area of research. And my thinking is that if any study is done to compare the volume and the quality of research that was done pre the era of the internet and what you have today, my assumption is that the quantity and the quality will have gone up, because you now find people within African business schools now publish. I mean, a good example is my school. We are here and we are publishing in some of the best international journals in the world. So I think that it's going to get better. We are going to compete with other European and American business schools in terms of research. So the future is great. The future is bright.
Okay, we'll do one more question. Can you speak more about PhD programs in Africa? It sounded like most of the scholars go over to the UK or the US?
Well, PhD programs in Africa are very good. But I think that one of the reasons why we why we encourage our research assistants to go overseas is that it's because of exposure. They are here in Africa, they've lived in Africa all their lives. So it's only for them to gain a lot more exposure. It's going overseas helps. Going overseas helps. Truth is this: the universities, a lot of universities, the Chicago Booth of this world, the UPenn of this, the Watson of this world, the Warwick of this world, these are highly research-intensive universities. They are highly research-intensive universities, intense universities. And we feel that our research assistants will have a lot to learn by working by studying for their PhD in any of those universities. Now, with African universities, the truth is, African universities we have very, very good universities here in Africa as well. But I'm not sure the extent to which they are as research intensive as some of the universities you find in Europe, especially when you look at UK, for instance. In UK, you have what you call research intensive universities and teaching led universities. We don't have anything like that here in Nigeria or in Africa. Maybe some universities have it, I don't know. But at least in Nigeria, we don't have it. So a lot of our universities are, they do research, but it's not at the level of intense that those universities do it. So we feel very strongly that our research assistants will have one or two things to learn, to bring back in terms of the research culture, how to build a research culture. They will have a thing or two to learn, to bring back, should they decide to come here.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Tayo. I will provide Dr. Tayo with the remaining questions, and he will answer them via Word document. I will be sending out both the PowerPoint presentation, the webinar recording, and the Q&A report to everyone that has registered for the webinar. It will also be available online in our webinar archive, so please stay tuned. Thank you again, Dr. Tayo, for sharing LBS's Management Scholars Academy initiative. It was very informative, and we hope that everyone on the webinar today got some great ideas.
Thank you very much, Indy. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye.